Welcome to a Friday Reads, where I talk about what I read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next. I have a cold. My brain's a little foggy because I have a cold, which means this might be more incoherent than normal, and I apologize. Let's get into it, starting with what I finished since last time, and that is The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I love this book. I love this book. Terrain and Luca are fascinating characters. If you don't know anything about The Unbroken, I guess, since this book did come out like 4 years ago, this was during the Sapphic trifecta, and this one definitely got less love than the other two. I don't really know why. I think they're all just as strong as each other, but I really love this book. So we have this land. It's called, what is it called? Quazal? I think it's Quazal. And it's been oppressed by Belendare. It's like basically a European country invaded an African country because that's the historical inspiration. And Terrain, our lady on the cover here, was stolen as a child and conscripted to be a soldier, and she's now returning to her homeland, and she has drunk the Kool-Aid, believes that if she is just the correct type of what's called a Sand, that she will be able to rise through the military ranks and protect her fellow Sands. And it's about her growth from that moment throughout the book and how her beliefs are tested and how she changes, especially as she meets new people in this world. And then we have Luca, who is the heir to the throne, who should have the throne right now, but her uncle won't let it go, so she's been given this chance to settle this unruly colony to prove herself. But she wants to be a good ruler. Now, the question is, does she want to be a good ruler, or does she just want to rule? So they both have these different agendas, and it's fascinating how they're like tent poles control what they do, and it can be very frustrating what they do. And thematically, it's just so rich, and maybe a little loud for some people. For me, it's like reading an N.K. Jemisin. It's like, yeah, she's being loud about her theme, but I like how she's writing the theme, so I'm good. And similar, I really love C.L. Clarke's writing style, just how they wordsmith works really well for my brain. And it's really quite sad how thematically relevant this keeps being each year that I read it, because it's my third time. Because obviously we always have this cycle of colony suppression from another place that thinks that this place that they're oppressing is barbarous or has a right to be oppressed because they're rebelling and fighting back. Like, I mean, right now we have large issues in Gaza, and that was really hard for me to not think about while reading this. Like, it's interesting, I feel like, how it's so obvious about certain morality when we read books and how that really is difficult to translate to the real world. Because this book also, it's not like a black and white book. It really does handle all the muddiness that comes with this type of mess. And I really appreciate it for that. And yeah, I'm really excited to the point where I am going to continue on in The Faithless. I really liked this my first read, but I've not read it again, and it's been a few years, so I'm excited to get to that. And also, just as a reminder, Wednesday I had my interview with Cadwell Turnbull for No Gods, No Monsters, which was a delight. I loved having that conversation. He's so smart and eloquent. I just loved picking his brain and getting really good book recommendations. I'm excited to check those out. And there's only like 4 minutes of spoiler chat, and I have it clearly linked in the description and on screen. And I bring that up because I'm very happy to say that I did ask C.L. Clarke to be my next author, and they have agreed. And so later on this year, I will be chatting with them about Magic of the Lost. I don't know if I'll get to her new novella by then, but I know the novella is also coming out the same day as The Sovereign, which is end of the month coming out. So I'm very excited. It's one of my favorite series. And like, truly, this was a debut. I miss, like, 2021, I heard so many strong debuts, and I know publishing has really changed since then. The authors are not worse who are debut authors, but there's obvious to me something in the process that's slipping through the cracks. Because, like, this is so good. This was so good. Another book that I finished because my local bookstore, Hexagon Books, does like novella book clubs, which I think is really good for like my speed, and I'm excited about the next book they picked too. But this one just happened to be on my TBR. Like, I just owned this book. I'm like, this is perfect. And that's The Last White Men. Now, I haven't gone to the discussion yet, and I'm still on the fence on if I will go, because I have a cold, and it's tonight. And A, I don't want to get people sick, and B, I'm really not feeling, like, super good. Like, it's definitely, like, the head pressure-y part of the cold. So I probably won't go, which is a bummer. But I did finish this. Now, just as a reminder to those who don't know my lore, I've read Exit West, which is one of my favorite literary speculative pieces of fiction. Definitely more general fiction literary than speculative. Like what this author likes to do is basically make a big sweeping change to the world state, not explain how that's caused. That's not the point. And look at how people respond. And so with Exit West, we're doing this where doors pop up and suddenly there are no borders. So what happens to countries, to people, to refugees when borders are just erased? You just have doors that keep popping up and you can't control all the doors. And in that one, you're following a couple and what happens to their relationship, but also what happens to the world around them as they traverse that tumultuous time. It's a similar pattern here, except this is much shorter. It's like half the length of Exit West. And the premise here is one day, slowly, everyone in this town, and presumably the world, are turning from like pale skin to black. And it's unclear to me if it's just skin color or if there's also like actual bone structure changes, because it was kind of weird. Like this was something that was a bit weird to me while reading the book, is that it seemed like people really couldn't recognize each other after they went through this change. But I don't necessarily believe that just changing someone's pigment would be that dramatic. It would have to come with other features maybe, but I don't know for sure. And it's about the change in that town, and like it really does mimic what happens every time we have major changes of like there's a lot of fear and rioting and violence, but then there's the after effect of once everyone is the same skin color, what the world is like. I don't think this is as strong as Exit West. I don't like, part of why I want to go to this book club discussion, if I feel good enough, which I probably won't. Like realistically, I'm not going to go. I don't want to get anyone sick. Even if I wear a mask, it's just like, and I would wear a mask. I wear a mask at work all the time too, even when I'm not sick, because I hate getting sick. This is why I hate getting sick. But I do feel like this is probably a book that improves upon discussion with others. And that's what happened with Exit West as well, as I was discussing it with others. But while I thought Exit West was a really interesting take on a thought I hadn't thought of before, this I don't feel felt that interesting to me. Like it felt very shallow, and it's pretty short too. Like it just felt like a very shallow take on it. I don't think it was done insensitively or with malice or anything like that. I mean, the author himself is a brown man, so it's not like a white person has come up with the idea, and I don't think that's where it has its faults. But I was expecting more. And I was just thinking about how much I wish I was just reading Exit West instead. It does something slightly different with the character dynamics, although this time again, we do have our main 2 point of views are these two people who fall into a relationship with each other and how that relationship is also affected by the times. I will say, the last white man, I did call who that would be, like right away. And that was kind of like both cool, but also like I felt like I caught that way too early. So yeah, this felt a little on the nose in a way that didn't work for me, which I know is weird after saying that like the Unbroken is a bit on the nose, but obviously, to each their own. But nice to get another book off my TBR. I know next month the book that they're going to be reading is a memoir, and it's one that my friend Shannon recommended to me that they had read, which is like, I'm forgetting the name, and I'll probably try and find the book to put on screen, but it's about, I believe, someone who's paid to just like be in a room with people. Like, but not to like engage with them, but I forget. And it's just a memoir of this person doing that as their job. And it's like real short. So yeah, that's what I've been reading there. And then I have started A Sunny Place for Shady People. And man, I really like it so far. I've only read the first 2 stories. And I want to reread the second story to see if it makes more sense to me. But I would say that this is like reading like Our Share of Night, but in bite-sized quantities, which means it's probably more accessible to the average person, because Our Share of Night is like this thick, and this is this thick. But it's like the same idea of like, you're just meandering about, and there's a supernatural thing, and it's kind of creepy, and I really like what this author focuses on. So the first story in here is, what's its name? It's called My Sad Dead. Ooh, I really liked this one. So another thing I enjoy about reading her stories is a lot of them are set in Argentina, and I just don't get to read a lot of stories set in Argentina. So I just like, if you use books to travel, I like temporarily traveling to a recent historical or maybe even present day time in Argentina. Actually, I think it is present day. Like, I think that one is 21st century. Regardless, there's this woman who can interact with ghosts, and it's about what she chooses to do with that interaction in this town. But also it's really a big explanation for why the town is messed up and kind of deserves to be haunted, maybe. It has a very bittersweet ending, maybe just sweet. I kind of really like the ending, but I don't know if everyone would. But I loved the voice of the character who's telling us the story of the town. And then the second story is the titular story, A Sunny Place for Shady People, and it takes place in LA. It's one of those things where the character is exploring something for journalism, but it also has parallels to something they're still dealing with in the grief of their life. And so that's why I kind of want to read it again to like see if I can connect the tissue a bit more, because something I really like doing, and I've done it with all of Mariana Enriquez's works, is I love the audio experience. I just find that the cadence of her words works really well in audio, but with short stories, I can't always tell when they're about to just end. And sometimes I can't tell if it's an abrupt ending or if the audiobook just stopped and then took 2 seconds and started the next story. Because I reread the ending of the first story and I was like, no, that was a good spot. But for the second one, I don't know yet. So I'm working on that, but it's been a really good audiobook as I predicted. I only just took a little bit of a break to audiobook The Last White Man. So yeah, that's the Friday reads. Next really big reads, Faithless and this, and then I don't know what I'm doing next, and nor can I be bothered to find out at the moment because I'm so sick. I hate colds. So much. It makes editing these things harder because I have to stop to not be gross on camera. It makes my head feel all woozy. It makes it hard to sleep even though I'm tired all the time. Ugh. Anyways, fun things though that have happened in my life recently is I went to a My Chemical Romance concert this past weekend, and that was so fun. Oh, it was so good. If you haven't known about this tour for My Chemical Romance, and even if you don't care about the group, I think it's really cool what they've done on this tour. So they're known for the album The Black Parade, even if you don't know My Chemical Romance. I'm sure if you're my age, you've at least heard this name before. And they played the whole album from beginning to end, but they didn't just like play a set. They incorporated this fascist authoritarian world that they created with their own language, and it's obviously inspired by different fascist regimes and authoritarianism, and they made an onstage story with it. But it's a story that's ever revolving. Like, I've fallen into some fun little like Easter egg deep dives on YouTube because each show has like something changing, and so that was really cool. I really liked that. Obviously, some of the songs were just like, they slapped so hard. But then the second set, because they did 2 sets, was really fun because that one was more of a stripped down. They were just on a stage with just their instruments, a drum kit, nothing fancy, and they just played some of their other songs. And it was oddly intimate for how big the stage is. And as a Danger Days stan, like, because I love that album, Danger Days, most of the fandom doesn't like that one as much, but I like poppier things, so of course I'd like the poppier album. But I always do love when I like something the artist likes about as much as them. I get that way with Billy Joel too. I'm like, I get it. You like this song as much as I like this song. Yeah. And that's the same with Danger Days. And they played like 4 songs off that album. So that was really fun. So that was like my big thing from the weekend that I got to do. It was very fun. And luckily got to go to it before, like, it was one of those things where like, you ever can tell that you're probably about to get sick. And I wore my mask mainly because if I wasn't sick, I didn't want to get sick. But also, if I was sick, to not spread my contagion everywhere. But it was so fun. I had a really good time. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm knitting. Here, I did a collar this morning. It's a folded collar that I learned how to like cast off while sewing it to the inside kind of thing. So that was really fun. I was excited that it looked good when I was done too, because I just really couldn't tell while I was doing it. If you want to let me know, just tell me what you're reading, doing, watching this coming weekend. If you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's leave a sun for A Sunny Place for Shady People. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.